I want to hope for everyone hearing my voice that they have a great fall trading season. W.D. Gann felt that the change of seasons at times could bring about directional change in different markets. We had an eclipse last night. I'm actually looking for highs in the gold and silver and the S&Ps. But let's start right here. I'll get to those in a minute. Let's start with the dollar. It's my contention that what happened last week set the stage for a dollar rally to 102. That's my view. So I'm looking to buy. As you can see, I put fib retraces up on here. So I'm going to buy the 50% retracement level here around 97, maybe 680, risking the lows should we get this pullback this week, and I think we will, into this level. My preferred short between euro, which, 61.8 back is kind of around the old high, was 1830. That could be a decent level, and maybe all cable has, since it's been a lot weaker, is a rally back towards this 136 level. Cable's my preferred short. I think they'll both work. I think Aussie is also put in a high. Didn't do the uh, fibs on them, but I'm figuring up around 67.50, and then maybe you risk the highs if we get a rally up there. So far, this has been a real weak rebound in Aussie, so that tells me I should be looking for something, especially if I'm thinking there could be some type of high in the metals. And before I get to the gold and silver, copper looks like it's peaked and rolling over. In fact, a lot of things are. Remember, at the end of last week, I said I didn't like Bitcoin. It's getting hit pretty hard today, down about 2,000 on the day, a breakdown under 115. And I said, protect yourself. If you want to be long under 113, you should be gone, even if it rallies. I think there's a shot that, I'd sell rallies back towards 115 if it happens. Ethereum actually got to one of my targets based upon this formation. We had, A, B, C. We have equality here, but I don't think Ethereum looks so good either. And, that's part of the liquidity issue that may pop up for equities sometime this week. We had a big option expiration on Friday, and S&Ps are lower. They still could attempt a new high, but just, this is a danger signal when Bitcoin and Ethereum are heading lower, especially Bitcoin. So this looks to me like, pretty important breakdown under 115. It would have to recapture it to turn the board bullish again. Getting back to some currencies, because I do believe yields bottom. They're down a shade here today, and maybe they pull back. This was the important level I'm talking about at 420. So, people could say this is just a technical bounce right now after the Fed easing, but we start taking out 420 here. That's going to measure up to 440. So, back over 420, you negate the breakdown of this head and shoulders formation that we had. And 4% was the floor I was looking for. So as long as we hold 4%, just like I think you could buy pullbacks in the dollar, I think you could sell rallies in notes. Here's TLT. It's approaching this major breakout that we had here. Let's see what it does at 88.5. If I'm right longer term on the 10-year, and I know there are people showing me arguments in TLT that this was just the end of wave 3. We're going to a pullback and then we'll get a 5. And that's possible. I mean, the formation did measure to 93.5. So that's possible. But, we start negating this breakdown and we start getting over 420 in the 10-year. I wouldn't want to be long any Treasury paper at that point. Let's talk a little bit about the yen because it's still pretty closely correlated. So if we get a little pullback in yields here, perhaps we get a decent pullback in yen. And I'm not looking for 45 anymore. That was the bottom at 5.5. The bottom when the dollar did got down to 45, 48. So halfway back would be about 47. I'd look at the end there. Something like that should occur. My targets to the upside in yen, US dollar yen comes in here up around 152. So trying to finesse long positions in there. We have gold and silver breaking out to new highs. Um, really there is divergence, but it's still, way overbought, way over 70. But I want to show you something. So we do have a little bit of a three drive happening here in the gold. If you went into the room, I actually sold some at 37.24 this morning and covered. There was about a $14 break right here and took partials. So I was short a partial and took part of the partial here. I think we can make a run to 37.40 to 50. So I'm still stalking highs there. And silver, maybe another buck above these highs. I'm looking for maybe 44.5, but I'm going to stay focused on gold for a short. I think the bullishness is extreme. We're starting to get some divergences, and I think this is going to may mark a fairly important top in the gold. Here's a weekly. So I'd be looking for by Friday some type of reversal week, which would be anywhere under 36.84 would be lower on the week. And then a 2 week off number comes in at 36.43, which is $80 from here. Looks like that would be, quite an accomplishment, but um, there's quite a number of people. You find a gold bear anywhere. Wall Street Journal is now saying that it's appropriate for people to own gold and part of their portfolio. Where were they in 24? Or even a few months ago when we broke out here or here at 33.10. Now the Wall Street Journal is endorsing gold. I was taught this by an old timer. When people line up to buy something, sell it to them. And I think people are lined up here in the precious metals. Let's take a quick look at the S&Ps, which were lower. Someone that watches my streams here was talking about 67.05, which is doable. Here's your 4-hour chart. Maybe this is one, waiting for the RSI to come up. But we have divergence between this high and this high. Maybe we get one more push up towards that 67 level. S&Ps are fighting their way back. But again, I'm expecting some type of turning point in S&Ps from higher, just like in the metals. I think they're both going to mark highs sometime this week. May not be till later in the week when we get some inflation data. But as you can see on the 4-hour, this was your last confirmed high. That was on Sep 15. So, a week of successive new highs. Here's your second high. It diverged, but way over 70, And then here's your high on Friday, 68. So I think even if we rally another 30 handles, we're not going to take out 70 on the S&Ps. Nat gas trying to hold. It's kind of sideways, but still way off the lows. So being patient with longs there. USO doesn't look as good as nat gas. Looks like we're going to attack the 72 level. So maybe we're going to have a breakdown under 72, and then you just wait. I'm not going to short it under the current geopolitical situations, but I'll let them take out stops and me as well under 72, and then just wait for it to trade back above 72. So I think that's about it. I covered crypto, covered the currencies. But my big picture is this dollar has bottomed. And I talked about this target on Friday. Maybe it's a weekly. Uh, must be the daily. Okay, so here's a weekly. So we have confluence with the weekly moving average up around 102 and then 104. So this is what I'm looking for. And on the daily, we have those moving averages coming in right around the same point. Yeah, 102. So this is my target. So if we have the opportunity to buy it at 97 or 680, risking the lows at say put it underneath the lows by about 30, call it 95.90, and we get to 102, you're talking about a 5-to-1 profit risk ratio on this trade. So that's a wrap. Don't forget to check in the room for trading suggestions and how to finesse and fine tune what I talk about on the videos. I want to wish everyone good hunting. And most of all, don't just count your pips, count your blessings. And we're going to have a great fall season. Hang out here and drop in and become part of TradeGate Hub.